Howdy, streamers. I've got a great lot of feedback on a lot of these OBS videos that I've got on my channel, which is great that you guys are finding them all useful and helpful. One of the next things I thought I would look at is actually the broadcasting chain or the filter chain or the filters, audio filters inside of OBS, and in more particular instances, ones that are third party. So not the standard stock plugins that come or filters that come with OBS, but ones that you can purchase yourself and bring in and just add your own little bit of flavor and character to what's going on. So I'll show you what I do. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you listen to what I do first, and then you can watch the needles, you can have a look at what's going on, and you can listen, and then we'll just go through and show you the settings of what I've actually got set up for you and how it's all done, shall we?
The Mix. It's radioactive.
Hi, this is Peter 7777. I like to hear some Phil Collins. It's Craig Tube.
Or is that interactive?
Hi, Optimod. This is Blue. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you, and toodles.
Good morning, Friday, to everybody. Optimod, great show, dude.
Absolutely loving being here in your host, Opto. Yay.
It simply might blow your mind.
Once you take one hit off that speak pipe, you just can't get enough.
Leave us a message.
Good day to user. I'm calling you from Microsoft support.
Have you tried SpeakPipe?
So there you go. That's what you can do with some of the broadcast equipment that's available. So what we're doing here basically is just running all of those signals through one broadcasting chain or one lot of filters. So inside of OBS, where you can normally go to add where your filters are, the best thing to do, let me pull this screen up here, show you. So underneath your main input inside of OBS, where are we here? Lost it. Come back, OBS. There it is. Okay, so down here, you got a little button there. You want to click on Filters, and that brings up the screen that I was just showing you before. Let me just pop that one out of the way. So inside there, I've got 4 filters set up. So if I wanted to add anything else, I just click on the plus button, and third-party plugins, just VST2, click on that, and then anything you've got installed inside of your machine already, you can select that is VST2 relatable. So if you don't have those already, then that's what you will need to be looking for, and obviously I'm offering you some suggestions of that at the moment. So I've got 4 set up there, and it goes from top to bottom, and so it goes from the top, from the peak catcher through the VCL 25A right down through to the little processor there, the top and bottom end boost, which I'll show you shortly, and then a limiter on the way out. So you can turn those on or off either way, just as you would a normal scene inside of OBS. So let me just pull that one out of the way again and just show you left to right what we're actually doing. So on the left here, I have the VCL 373, which is just catching the peaks. It's set in compression mode. So what I want that to do is just any peaks that are very quick, that's all I want it to grab. So in music, it typically won't do that, but if my speech, for example, and it likes to grab my S's, as you can see, that little needle over here gets quite excited when I throw some S's at it. So what that's doing is just grabbing anything that is fast that I want to just grab a hold of and make sure that it doesn't overthrow its signal into anything else and get crazy. So from craziness, let's have a look at what we've got down here. So C for compression. I've got this set for plus 4 dB of input gain. So I'm running my signal out of a mixer, and a standard outboard mixer, little mixing desk. So mine's an Allen and Heath, and I feed that in straight into OBS. So that's where it's getting its signal from. So for each of you, if you're taking your music out of the box, then you may find these settings are a little bit different, but this could be a good starting place for you. So I've got this set at a 0.3 release time. So that's 0.3 of a second. So it's very quick. So it grabs that peak and it grabs it very quickly and lets it go very quickly. So that's all I want it to do, so that I don't want it overthrowing anything into distortion, which is not going to sound good. So the mix here is set for 100%, which means that this processor is processing 100% of the signal. It's not doing anything else but 100%. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. Over here on the output side, I've got that set for minus 5.6 in my particular case, and that's going to feed into the next processor. And this is set for stereo linking of 100%, so it's affecting both sides of the stereo signal at the same time, regardless of whether the peak of the signal is on the left or on the right hand side. So that then feeds into this Vari-Mu compressor here, which I find absolutely beautiful. All of these are radio type compressors and limiters from the 50s, 60s, which is tube-based gear, which actually adds a little bit of character and a little bit of flavor along the way as well. So this one really does the donkey work. So it's not as fast as you would find the 373 that'll catch the S's over here. This one acts a little bit more slowly, which is why it sounds more transparent and very, very musical if you're doing that, but it works with speech just as well. I use it in other applications for the same thing. So I've got the input set here for 8.1, so that's plus 8.1 dB of gain, or I guess it's dB in this particular case. The release I've found works fine here at 0.75 of a second or even at 1 second. And it's how long that little needle holds itself up there before it lets go, before the next peak comes in its direction. So I've found either one will be fine. The output over on the top right hand corner there, I've set it for 1.4 dB, so that's a positive output. So because we are affecting the signal and we're reducing the effect or reducing the volume of that signal, we need to just boost it up a little bit to get it out now that it's come out at a more consistent level. The threshold is quite key, so that's the one there. I've got this set for 36 point, I think it was 5, somewhere along there. And that's just at the point where this starts actually operating. And from system to system, that may be a little bit different for you. But realistically, I only want where the needle is at the moment in most particular cases. Some of those promos you might find they're a little bit louder, and that's the whole point of this, is just keeping everything close together. So regardless of what you're streaming, you're going to have different output volumes of different devices, and this will help just push it all together nicely and make it much more easily listened to from your listeners. In this particular case, this is set for gain reduction for the meter. If I set it to VU there, you can see my voice in the positive form, it's pushing that needle upwards, whereas in the gain reduction mode, it's actually showing you how much of the gain it's reducing on those louder parts of my voice and just squashing it down again. So the mix on this one again is set for 100%. The noise floor, I've set that to infinity, meaning there is no added noise floor. I mean, you turn it all the way up and you can only hear my system noise here anyway, so that's a little bit how that is. Now, I've got that then feeding down here into a little bit of a smiley curve EQ. So for those, I guess there's a little bit of oral excitement. I've set it here for 40 cycles. So at 40 cycles, I've given it a plus 2 dB gain. So that's actually like a low shelf EQ. So it's actually lifting up the bottom end a little bit, which is what people tend to do on their home radios and things like that and whatnot. Same with the top end here. With the high frequencies, I've set that to plus 2 and a high shelf there at 10 kilohertz or 10,000 cycles. So what that does is literally lift the top and the bottom end a little bit and sort of leaves the mid-range pretty much intact. So it's just that nice little bass boost and a little bit of top end, depending on what people are listening to. If it's a big stereo system at home, that's great. If it's little laptop speakers, there's a little bit of high end there just to make them feel a little bit more excited. And because I'm adding 2 dB there and 2 dB there of gain, I've reduced the output actually by -3. It seems to be all right before I head it into the next plugin, which happens to be another instance of the VCL 373. Again, more radio gear. And I've got this one here set for limiting mode. So it's like a compressor, but it limits. So it's got a ceiling that it'll push up to, and it'll literally stop. So that signal there is to stop basically any overloads, because I don't want anything going out into distortion land, because it's obviously not very nice to listen to in any particular case. So it's kind of a fail-safe really. And I've got this one here set for 8.3 dB as an input, and a slower release time of 1.2 seconds. So I don't want to hear that. I just want it to do its job and then pull itself out of the way. So the slower that release time, the less audible it will be. Again, the mix is set to 100%, and the output gain over here is set to 4 dB on the way out. And again, stereo link set at 100%. So if I just pull this other screen back up in here again, you can see that here they are from top to bottom, left to right, as they were before. The peak catcher, and it'll just feed straight down into the 25A, 25.8A, and then back again to the limiter at the end, the other version of the 373. So to get these inside of OBS, as I said before, just hit the plus button. Go and grab these plugins. You can demo them and see how they work on your own system, but they need to make sure that all these plugins are a VST2. That's what will work best. And I've got this little box here ticked open interface when active, which means I can adjust that through the broadcast if I needed to, but typically what I've got set works fine. And if you need to, you can just open the plugin interface by choosing that setting there. So I hope that clarifies things and just gives you a bit of an idea of how you can use third-party plugins inside of OBS. You don't have to use the stock ones. These obviously look better, and they'll definitely sound better than what comes out of the stock plugins inside of OBS for sure. So there we go, folks. Happy streaming, and enjoy what you're doing, and make sure your broadcast is going out in the best possible way. All right, we'll catch you on another video soon. Cheers, guys.